And we're back with another episode of B-Scar TV. And I have a very, very special guest today, Mr. Brennan Copeland, a.k.a. Professor Cope. 10 seasons in the NFL, most recently with the Ravens, but we had a stint with the Patriots, with the Jets, with the Lions, with the, he's a journeyman.
I was about to say, yeah.
He's a journeyman. Professor at the University of Pennsylvania, where he also did his undergrad, 2 years at Wharton Business School. Runs a real estate firm, money, music, culture, podcast, social media guru, all the things. Coach, thanks for coming to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, B-Scar TV, brother. I'm excited to be here, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you're doing.
And a year ago, the boys were in town in Super Bowl, and we had the Athlete and podcast.
Yes, sir.
And we were running the pod as a tag team.
Yep.
And so now the boys are back.
The boys are back. It feels good to be back, man.
It does. It feels great. The thing with you, Cope, that I respect and I admire, there's a lot of things, but it took me a while just now to rattle off your bio, and I probably could have gone for 10 more minutes. You do a lot. You do a lot. Yeah. And it's funny, I was just talking to a fellow NFL player last night in my creative agency. We had just wrapped up with helping the NFLPA with some of this stuff. We went to dinner, and I saw this player, and I was like, yeah, I'm here on my team. And he was like, yeah, it's cool that you play and you do that. And like for you have 4, 5, 6 different things that you're doing, and you're also an elite outside linebacker. Yeah. And so I'm curious, how do you balance it all?
Man, so one, thank you for having me. Again, like I said, it's a pleasure to be here. I think, two, I'm going to steal this line from my boy, Brandon Marshall. And I heard him say this at a conference last year, and what he said, somebody asked him that question, he said, there is no balance. And what I'm trying to accept and embrace is that, hey, this is me. This is who I am. And like, I'm the guy who is interested in real estate. I'm interested in this. I'm interested in this. So I'm trying to be better at blocking my time so that I can actually prioritize what's important to me today, as opposed to what other people have deemed as important for me. And what I mean when I say that, people send you an email. They want to get on your calendar, right? Somebody said an email is the to-do list that other people can add to. And so I'm trying to make sure that I'm prioritizing the goals and the visions that I have for myself and actively go out and get that. But from a time standpoint, especially like a mental time standpoint, I don't really have balance. Like I'm laying down at night with wifey sometimes, and sometimes it's easy to say, hey, let's just watch some Netflix and let's chill. But sometimes it's, let's watch some Netflix. Ah, dang, I just forgot about this. Oh man, I just had a crazy idea. Oh man, look at how to do that production. I got to take a picture of that because I want to incorporate that, right? Like, it's just me. It's just who we are. Yeah. And I think that that's what I'm trying to continue to embrace now.
Yeah, I like that. And I like that idea about being selfish with your time too. Yeah. I think it's easy to just want to say yes to everything. Yeah. When you do have that mindset of like, I want to do all these things, and you look at everything as an opportunity. So when somebody presents to you their idea and they want to get on your calendar, you like, all right, yeah, let me make time for you, because this is an opportunity. You share that, but at a certain point, you do have to be like, okay, I've already prioritized, these things that I want to accomplish, and everything else, we'll get to it, right? But we'll get to it on my time,
right? And I think that for us as athletes, when you're playing, you have the schedule, right? And that's the best excuse in the world to say no. Hey, I'll call you back. Hey, I don't have the time right now.
I got practice.
Right? Like, you can put it on the league or the team or the schedule, as opposed to yourself just saying, like, no, that's not for me right now. I'll get back to that in 2 weeks. Or it might be for me 3 months from now, whatever it may be, right? And so I think that for me, it is trying to embrace that and trying to also make sure other people understand that it's not me being disrespectful. It's just me understanding what I need to do for this vision that we have. The final thing I'll say on that too, one thing I realized, because, part of it is, part of me battles with the fact of, like, hey, we get to the end of our lives and we'll see if we have regrets or not. Like, hey, should I have just focused all on real estate?
On one thing, yeah.
Right? Should I have just focused all on production, right? And I've tried to just focus on one thing, and I get anxiety doing that. Like, that really actually, like, throws off my day more. So that's why I said I try to embrace being me, and I think that over the last, really since my sophomore year of college, my grandfather told me, he played in the league for 11 years, and he said, when you get certain opportunities, if you don't know whether it's for you or not, just say yes. Because he said when he was in the league, he got an opportunity to broadcast like immediately after the league, and he said, I told him no. And I couldn't really tell you why I told him no. Right. And I sit here and I look at these guys with their broadcasting careers, and I'm like, what could have been? And so he always told me, just say yes, and you'll learn whether you like it or not. And over time, what I found is now, because I've said yes to so many things, now I know exactly what to say no to as well, too. And now I don't have to second guess myself of like, well, is that for me? Nah, I spent my 20s trying to figure out what I liked, what I didn't like.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think experience can really be the best teacher for that, right? Yes. Like, to really understand yourself, you got to put yourself in, certain positions, like taking the day or a couple of days or however long you took to say, I'm going to focus on one thing. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, damn, this don't really feel right. My mind is just thinking about a whole bunch of things, right? And so but without you kind of taking the chance to do that, you wouldn't have really known. Yeah. True. And you saying yes to a certain opportunity or working with a certain partner or a certain project, and then realizing that it just didn't work out because of whatever reasons, right? You reflect and say, maybe our personality types clashed or just wasn't the right situation. But if you had never gone in and said yes to that particular project, then you wouldn't know for the next time, like, you know what? No, this resembles something in the past that I've seen. Right. So it's like, to your point, I think that saying yes to all of these things, then you can learn. Yeah. Right. And I heard Warren Buffett was saying something recently. I was watching Warren Buffett and Jay-Z on an interview with Forbes. That's dope. Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't recent. This was this was years ago, but I recently watched it because I went down a rabbit hole of watching Jay-Z interviews. And Warren Buffett was saying that, like, all the different things that you do, and he was talking about businesses, all the different businesses that you work in, it's talking like Jay-Z being in the music industry, like, it's all cumulative. Just because you work in music doesn't mean you only get better at music. Right. It's like the underlying business fundamentals, like, basically they're universal. Right. They go from music, they go to investing, they go to Berkshire Hathaway, Rock Nation. Yeah. And so you working on Rock Nation actually makes you better prepared for whatever else. Right. Crystal, whatever it may be. Yeah. No, I think that, it's something that, like you said, you get to see, hear, and appreciate now because of your maturity, right? It's it's like watching film of the game that you just played. Like, in the game, you just playing. Like, you ain't really worried about technique. You're not focused on it, but you watch it the next day and you kind of like, oh, I was really doing this, or I could do this better. But all of those reps over time, like, you're able to appreciate that because it's just making you a better player, making it habitual. So another really great Jay-Z interview, if you haven't seen it, is Heart to Heart with Kevin Hart and Jay-Z. Oh, nah, I haven't watched that. You should definitely watch it, man. And that's an older, more mature Jay-Z too. Yeah, yeah. And I think that was recently, right? That was kind of recent. Yeah, within the last couple of years for sure. Yeah. And I think that, I do that as well too. Like, what I try to do is watch interviews of people who are at that level you aspire to be at, and just, every once in a while you'll catch a nugget that just kind of helps you feel like, oh, I am on the right path. Oh, this uncomfort I'm feeling, oh, okay, you are right. Or gives you a little more validation for, like,
all right, well, like you said, these skills are transferable, so just keep stacking these skills because it's all going to continue to pay off over time. So I love that.
For sure. Yeah, I like the interview thing. That's something that I recently kind of got on, like when I was during the season, getting in the hot tub, cold tub, just watching an interview.
Yeah.
And Jay-Z was kind of the first rabbit hole for me because I really respect everything that he's done.
Yeah.
And trying to get an idea of how is he thinking.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, these interviews, some are candid, maybe some are more scripted, but like it's him. You know what I mean?
Right.
Talking about it. So, yeah, no, I think, I think that as we continue to grow our businesses, like the more that we can learn from other people, I think is important.
Yeah. How do you balance it, if you don't mind me asking? Foundation, production, FinLit, football, family.
I think it's a lot with the schedule. Number one, like kind of how you talked about, like making sure you're blocking out the time. And I found that the farther out that I could schedule my calendar, the better off I'll be.
Gotcha.
And so it's like, if I get out 2 weeks, if I get out a month, if I'm in a point where I get an introduction to somebody over email and now we're looking for a time for a call. If I can't find a time 2 weeks out, like I'm in a good place. Right. And hopefully, my schedule is booming to a point where, it's a month or two, depending on, how I prioritize that. But I've also found through that is like, you can schedule out too much too. And so I learned that this past year, because I think your schedule and your structure is how you balance multiple things. But I think if you lean too far into that, then you can lose your balance, right? And I think like last off season, I was really jamming on Scarlett Creative and wanting to grow Scarlett Creative. And so I put a lot of time and scripted kind of my schedule for that.
Okay.
But I realized like, damn, okay, I gotta also schedule in, when am I doing my rehab? When am I focusing on my recovery? Right, because I'm training in the morning. That's always, I'm always doing that. But when am I grounding myself? Taking some time for me
when you focusing
was important. And then I got to this point where I read something on LinkedIn. Actually, I follow a woman named Kirby Porter on LinkedIn. Kirby. She gives great content. She does a good job of like reposting other people's content. There was this dude who was talking about that, how he themes his days through the week. Wow. So basically like Monday and Friday are what he called deep work days. Okay. Tuesday, Thursday is like his call days. And then Wednesday is like a flex. Okay. And so I adopted that this past off season, and it worked for me too. Awesome. Giving yourself time to just like do nothing. Yeah. Right.
I started doing Monday and Tuesdays, afternoons, external calls, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because I realized like if you don't try to set those days, then your whole week ends up being okay. I'm gonna be thinking about the business for a second, then I got this call that pops up, then I'm gonna think about the business for 20 minutes, then this other call pops up, right? It just all becomes scattered, and you save some flex time, and I'm not perfect with it, but it's definitely been a lot more helpful to me in terms of like saying, hey, no, these are the days for the world. Yeah. These are the days for us to keep building this crazy thing that only we can see right now.
Yeah. Are you a podcast guy? You listen to podcasts?
Yes, I do.
Audiobooks?
Blinkist. So yes, audiobooks, but I need the shortened version, brother. I need the SparkNotes version. I'm a professor, but I'm gonna say, look, you're gonna have to.
Bro, you can put it on 2x speed though.
We don't even Cause I don't need all the fluff, man. I just need, get to the point. Tell me what I need to hear so I can go. I need the microwave version. So it's funny. Even in my class, we don't have any. We have an ebook that we created for the class. We're working on the textbook ourselves, but I don't even make them have any real books or anything like that. Like we'll give them some suggestions, give them some articles, but if you can't get to the point in less than 400 pages,
for sure. That makes sense. The reason I ask is because I listened to, and I'm not a big audiobook guy either, but I listened to the 7 Habits of Effective People by Stephen Covey. And one thing that I took away, and I say this a lot now, is like he talked about this quadrant, right? If you can imagine a quadrant, and like on the y-axis it's urgent and not urgent. And on your x-axis, you have important and not important.
Okay.
And he was basically like, the urgent and important, you always handle that. Right? The urgent and not important, like you also will handle like that email that comes in and you know, they want to get in your schedule.
Yeah.
And then it's the not urgent, not important. It's like, okay, like we won't even touch that.
Right.
But the not urgent and important, how much time do you spend in that box?
Yeah.
Right? Those things that like,
damn,
when you see your vision and it's like, okay, maybe I have to, you know, I got to button up this detail, or I got to do this or have this conversation. I don't have to have it tomorrow. I don't have to have it today. But it's really important to this whole, you know, thing that I'm envisioning.
Yeah. I think building, excuse me, yeah, D-Scar TV, I'm shaking up. No, I think building on that, one of the things I'm trying to understand, and just so, you know, as you know, I'm evolving, I'm growing, I'm learning right now as you're telling me about these quadrants. One of the things that I'm trying to understand, I think I'm gonna butcher the quote, but it used to be like, you know, treat everything as if your life depended on it, but also, you know, understand that you really have no effect. Like nobody really cares about what you do. Right. The quote is nothing like that. So you have to look it up, right?
Yeah, I hear
like,
you.
So everything that you do, you attack it with urgency, right? Like everything in the world depends on it, but also really keep in mind that it should really
it don't depend.
Nothing,
right.
Like in the grand scheme of life, this really ain't nothing, right? And so what I'm trying to do better at is like accepting the fact of that urgency, because for me, you know, anything that came in, I just wanted to attack with urgency. Like, we got to respond quickly. We got to do this. And so my anxiety is just going of like, we got to do that, you know, and I would mistake how urgently things need to be responded to, as opposed to now I can accept the fact that like, this is an important email from somebody really, really important, but right now it's just not more important than me playing with the kids. Or right now it's not more important than me working on this thing that I have to work on, right? Like, and what I will say is literally in the last 3 weeks, I've said no more than I have in probably the past 4 years.
That's great, bro.
To like real business things, real business opportunities, like saying, nah, like it's not for me, or nah, you know, we can meet, but we're gonna have to meet in 2 months from now, right? That used to give me a lot of fear of missing a major life-changing opportunity, you know what I'm saying? And now it's kind of starting to accept and try to, I wouldn't have thought of the quadrants, but try to say like, hey, this is urgent, but the world ain't burning. And also accepting like, if you, especially with some of the business things that you and I have in common, right? Like if you don't want to do business with me, or you don't want to bring this to life or fruition because I respond to you 3 days later, or the team responds to you a week from now or whatever, then it wasn't going to happen anyway. It wasn't real to begin with, right? And so I think that that's what I'm trying to get better at, because for me, I will be pushing off my loved ones and my family. Those are the only people that lose. Like when you spend more time working, you spend more time answering emails, or again at night, you know, when you could be hanging out with the missus, I'm in my phone, I'm doing this, and I'm guilty of it still to this day. Yeah. But the only people that end up losing and get time cut out from being able to spend with me are the wife and kids and the family.
Yeah.
So
anyway. I feel that. How are you thinking about like the timeline period of just like how much time are you giving yourself to accomplish these things that you want to accomplish? You know, I think that's like something I think about a lot, is like, you know, there's a lot of things I want to do. I want to build my business. I want to, you know, I want my empire to be huge. Yeah. And it's like, it feels like I'm rushing at times. Yeah. And like, I think that like, you know, I'm in that kind of same frame as you a little bit of just like, there's the timeline that you got is imaginary, but you know, you got to have some type of timeline. Like, I don't know, like how you thinking about it, bro?
Yeah. I'm trying to operate with grace. And what I mean when I say that, and again, you're hearing, my answer 4 weeks ago would probably be totally different. But my wife and I, we had in my opinion, like that life-changing experience in a beautiful way over our 5-year anniversary. And what I'm trying to accept is, when did you start playing football?
I was 8 years old.
8 years old. When did you make it to the league? 21 years, right?
21 years ago.
Damn. And when did you make it? You made it to the league. So I don't know. I'm not going to do the math on what grade that is, but it took you over 10 years to get paid to play ball.
Yeah.
Right? And so you built that and you stacked and you put into that. And there's movements and things that you do today or when you came into the league that you just did by instinct, but it was really you were habit forming and building it brick by brick. And we come out of the league or transition, or just in general, not even like when you're in the league and you're still trying to do other things, and we expect ourselves to be on that elite level automatically. And it's not realistic to think that you're just going to jump into something else and be elite at it, right? Like you've been putting work in since not eighth grade, since 8 years old. And so I'm trying to operate with grace in that regard. And so I'm giving myself a longer timeline than I have in the past, but I think what I attack everything with is like, just get better. Like, just get better. Like, there is no limit. There is no like, hey, let's do this by this date and time. Because what if we can do it quicker? It might take a little longer. This is the vision. This is the goal. Get to the NFL. Go get it. This is the vision. This is the goal. Build out a production company where we can have our movie on the big screens one day. Go get it. Who you got to partner with, who you got to collaborate with, like, you know, just go get it. I can't really say if it's going to be 3 years from now or whatever. And the final thing I'll add to that is I keep using this reference as of a few weeks ago. You know, I'm telling my wife, I'm like, you know, how crazy is it to think that Jeff Bezos started in a garage and was just selling books to people on the internet. And now he's buying up pharmacies, he's buying up grocery stores. If you want something delivered right now, they might be able to get it here in a few hours, type of thing.
Yeah, right.
Like, did he ever think in that garage that that's what he'd be doing years from now? And so for me, it's like, this is a pretty nice garage, my brother. Like, this is a pretty dope garage. And just go brick by brick. Let's just go day by day. And let's not put any limits on ourselves, but let's just keep getting better. And I think we're going to be okay. God has blessed us to this point. I don't know what you believe in, but God has blessed us to this point, and just keep going. Yeah,
no, that's real. It's kind of switching the paradigm of like time being an adversary versus now like time being an ally. You know, like time is really on our side if you look at it the right way.
Yeah, and we don't have quit in our hearts. Like, one of the reasons why you're in the NFL is because you faced different obstacles that other people would have, it's a little too hard. I can't do this. You got stamina, endurance, right? Like, and so for me, it's like, all right, if we put that timeline on it, then, you know, you might beat me. But if we going for the stamina, you ain't. Right. We're different here. Yeah. And so that's another thing, like you said, it's an ally. I didn't think about it like that. Like, you know, that boy Bane said darkness is our ally, but now time is our ally. I like that, man. Time is our ally, because again, when you might be able to beat me in the 10-yard, but if it's us just going and seeing who quit first, good luck. Right. You know? And I think I remember Will Smith said that in an interview, you know, don't slap me though. Please don't slap me. But he was talking about, you know, if we get on the treadmill, I didn't really understand what he was, well, I kind of understood what he was saying, but what you just said, that really sinks in now. He was like, if we have to both get on a treadmill, he said, I will die before I get off that treadmill before you, right? And he's like, time is our ally. Let's just keep going.
Yeah. That's a hell of a mindset. Speaking of Will Smith, he's one of my idols, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air kid. Middle school, high school. He informed probably my fashion, a lot of my humor, a lot of how I connect with my family. Like, and he's had his, the past year. That Chris Rock incident was crazy. That shit was wild.
Yeah, that shit was.
I still am not sure how to process that. But for you, who is somebody that is inspiring you today in any field?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who you looking to?
So I think that's a great question. One hell of a question. It's multiple people right now. I'm inspired by Will Smith as well too. I will put that out there. I'm inspired by Will Smith because I think that one of the things that if you watch his interviews, you could tell he's done a lot of work on himself. Like, he describes himself really, really well. He describes his thoughts really, really well and his emotions. And for us as football players, we bottled all that up for a while. Like, all of our pain has become fuel to go out and unleash on somebody. So, like, when I hear that, I'm like, oh, you've done a lot of self-reflection, and I need to do that, right? So I'm inspired by that. I'm inspired by Shaq. Shaq, again, I think that for me, there's different things about different people that inspire me. And so Shaq, businessman, phenomenal. Every time he goes to a store, he pays something for somebody else. Like, that is my goal, right? Wow. Like, we've done shopping sprees, we've done stuff, but every time I go into Walmart, Target, whatever, like, I want to be able to buy a bike for a kid. I want to be able to buy some shoes for a kid or something like that. Like, that's one of my goals. Like, that inspires me.
That's tight.
Kevin Hart, when it comes from a business standpoint, watching his interviews, he talks about things that he's realizing today. He talks about those things 4 or 5 years ago, right? And so for me, it's like, I think for a lot of these stars, people look and they think they see the show, they see the platform. But for me, I am inspired by the intentionality and the decisions that a Kevin Hart is making. Jamie Foxx, I love the fact that Jamie Foxx can walk in any room and it seems like he owns it. He makes those people feel extremely comfortable in it. He makes people laugh, all of those types of things. So again, it's multiple people for sure. But those are some of the people that I watch. LeBron James, gotta go ahead and call out the king. LeBron James playing, I mean, come on, we ain't got to talk about the level he plays at, but more of the things that he does off the court. Schools, production,
just killing it, bro.
Investor.
Yeah.
The impact, I think that's the coolest thing, being high level, elite level business people, and then having the impact of so many. And then the final thing, because I'm not going to leave out the amazing women in here, the Oprahs of the world, the Rihannas of the world, right? Like the business people as well. Again, it's just, I'm inspired by a lot of people, but it's pieces of them that I want to, it's like playing for me. It was like, I see you do a nice pass rush move. I want a little, how do you do that? Right. Oh man, you really set that edge well. What you do with your foot?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's how I got it. And so I take all those little pieces and become Megatron.
Yeah, 100%. And I like how you touched on kind of like the more personal and social or like emotional qualities of people, right? Like when Shaq goes to a store and he buys something for somebody in line, that like is a reflection on, who he is as a person and how he treats people. And I found myself inspired too by things like that. Obviously, I'm a businessman and I'm an athlete, so I'm inspired by these things, but it also is like, I'm striving to be a good person too. And, I think it takes like reflection on, you got to look in the mirror and really try to understand who you are in these areas that you can improve on and get better at. Yeah. And like, I mean, I'm on the Jay-Z kick, right? So it was the Grammys and he bumped into Raekwon.
Okay.
And
I saw that.
Yeah, and Raekwon had, he looked like a true New York cat. Like he's still, and I don't know if he's from New York. I think so, but he had like his leather jacket on, his hat like kind of to the side, and he seen Jay, and obviously pioneers of hip hop, they go way back. Yeah. And Jay-Z's face lit up, and they shook up and they embraced. Yeah. And there was a lot going on, but like Jay-Z said something. Mm-hmm. And then he repeated it, and he said, thank you for the roads you paved. And like that was all he said. And then he continued to like shake hands from around. And like just how powerful that was right there to like take that moment to give that dude his flowers.
Yeah.
You know, and Jay, you know, he's suited and booted. He's got his tuxedo on. You know, he's got his people when they clearly going somewhere.
Right.
But to one, obviously they embracing a friend, but then to let that friend know, like, yo, bro, you've done a lot for me and for everyone. And like, thank you.
Yeah. Just saying it.
Just saying
You
it.
know, like not waiting, not being too afraid, being too macho, being too cool. You know what I'm saying? We talked about it on Athlete N, right? Like not being too cool to check on people and embrace people and stuff like that. I saw that as well too, and I love that because like you said, and even the fact that like you noticed what I noticed is like he greeted everybody else in the circle.
Right.
You know,
with eye contact. You know,
he didn't want to let anybody feel left out. And Jay-Z could literally. I mean, that's the crazy thing. Like, he literally could just walk past.
Yeah, it could have been a head nod.
Yeah, like, what's up?
He's at the Grammys. You know? Like, come on, bro.
You know?
His wife just won all the awards. Like,
and we wouldn't think any different of it. Like, we wouldn't be like, oh, like that's mean, that's rude. Like, but that inspires you, and that's why you're gonna be you special. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's the type of people we want to be as we continue to climb this ladder.
Yeah,
you know,
right. And for that guy who's everything that, you know, has created all of this that I'm aspiring to create, but then also, you know, he's clearly done some reflection on himself too, right? Like figure out the person that he wants to be, and okay, you can actually do both. Yeah. Right.
And even, you know, go back to the Will Smith thing, not to pull us back there, but you know, one of the things that I noticed during that, obviously he had the slap, right? But then when he goes up there and he accepts his award, he's crying. And for me, I remember in that moment thinking like, yo, like he knows he fucked up.
100%.
You know, he knows like, damn. But to see a grown man on that platform crying and kind of like knowing like, damn, like I wish I could take that moment back. It's like, we all human. Like we all are evolving. Like you don't get to like, oh, I'm 35, I know it all. Oh, I'm 55, I know it all. Like, nah, like I'm still growing. Like just because you got the grown man tag or the NFL player tag or the business owner tag or the CEO tag, like it's like, no, I'm still trying to evolve and grow. Yeah. Especially for somebody like Will Smith to be that hero and to see him up there and to see him get vulnerable and be like, damn, like I know I fucked up, right? Yeah. It just makes you, it humbled me to say, yo, keep working on yourself. Right. Keep working on yourself. Right. And hopefully, you know, people keep my wife's name out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, nah, man. I read Will's book. Yep. It's called Will. Did you read it?
I haven't.
It's great, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I read it before the slap.
Okay.
When I was reading it when I was in Jamaica after the season ended. Nice. And so he was really vulnerable in the book and talking about his relationships, his career, you know, obviously accomplishments, but also, you know, where he has missed the mark, you know, on himself, with himself personally. Wow. And so when I saw the slap and that moment happen, like that book gave me some context. Gotcha. Because he was open about the places that he, you know, needs to improve, and he was open about his relationship with Jada. So, you know, when I saw that, I was like, okay, there's some context there.
Gotcha.
You know, I think like that vulnerability is inspirational too.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
For sure.
Because it's helpful.
Right.
Like it helps you kind of embrace your own feelings, I guess, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So we're talking about emotional intelligence a little bit and just kind of emotional cues. And we've also discussed business and growing and scaling and all these things. And a lot of that leading a team includes both sides of that coin, right? Yeah. The emotional piece, and then also, you know, your vision and your business and your scaling. You can't do it on your own. You have to build a team. And obviously you have a lot of things going on, and I know that it takes a strong team. How are you thinking about, and we were talking about this the other day a little bit, but like, how are you thinking about now over the past few years, your experiences? How are you building your team? How are you leading your team?
Yeah, I'm trying to become the best leader I can be every single day. So working on myself so that I'm stronger in my words, I'm stronger in my direction, I'm stronger in explaining my vision, but also accepting the fact that like I don't have to explain it. Like just do it. You know, it's a thin line and a balance, and that can come off as rude because you want everybody to be on the ship with you. You want everybody to understand the vision. Oh, that's where we're going. Let's go. Like, and you want everybody to like, oh, I see it. I agree with you. But that's just not reality when you're building something that hasn't been seen before. Or it's just not, it's just not like it's copy, paste, repeat, right? Like it's not real estate. Oh, you buy a house, you renovate it, you flip it. Oh, I seen it before. Let's do it like that, right?
Right.
So for me, my challenge now as a leader is to make tough decisions. And what I mean when I say that is what I found myself doing over time was by being soft in my leadership, soft in my wording, soft in my direction, I'm wasting time, I'm wasting effort, I'm wasting energy, I'm wasting money. So when I say, hey, I think we should do something like this, like what you think? Oh, well, yeah, let's try it out. Let's try it out then, right? Well, I'm wasting that designer's time and I'm wasting my money of them trying some stuff that's not really going to help me reach my goal. I need you to do this and I need it to look like this. I need it to be done by this day. Get it done or not, period, right? And so for me, again, it's a balancing act because my heart is I want everybody to like me. I want everybody to have fun when they're around me. I want everybody to smile when they're around me. But in reality, if you're trying to build something special, it might not be realistic all the time. I think I want to hold on to the fact that I think you can get it done and you can still be a really good person and people can still like you. But I can also see, and I was asking Taylor, my wife, this the other day. I'm like, Steve Jobs, everybody talks about how, much of an asshole he was as a business person. And he might very well be, right? Like, relationship with his daughter, all of those different things. But like, there's probably times where it's like Steve said, I want the water bottle like this. No, true. I want the iPhone like this. I want it to be able to do that. And if you can't do that, get the fuck out. Like, that's what I'm asking you to do. Not your half-assed version of what I asked you to do, right?
Right.
And so that's what I'm balancing now. Like I'm evolving in that space. And again, I want everybody to be embraced. I want everybody to come on the ride. But I actually watched something this morning, and they said not everyone's equipped for the ride. Yeah. And so for me, again, I'm ever evolving, ever growing. But hopefully tomorrow I'll be a much better leader than I was today, and then hopefully the day after that. We just keep doing that, and I feel like we'll be okay.
Yeah, 100%. That's funny. We was just talking about that Steve Jobs and how he's kind of been he was labeled an asshole, but he also like we all using his phone.
I mean, you changed the world, right? Like you made everybody's life easier, and sometimes that might be the sacrifice. Yeah. And I hope it's not. Yeah.
I think it's like how it's hard to communicate clearly. Yes. I've found, especially when you're a thinker, when you have these elaborate thoughts, and the more complex they get, the harder it is to translate them into words.
A couple sentences.
Into like language. Yeah. Because how we think is just so, it's phenomenal how the brain works, because you might see it visually, but you also might see it in text, and however you like think about it, it's tied together. So it's like, okay, boom, I got to take what's in my head and how, whatever we have in the present day, whatever this thing looks like today, and then there's also a vision for how we want it to be, and it's in my head, but now I have to translate this into English. Right. Not only into, English that I can understand, but English that the person that I'm speaking to can understand, digest, and emotionally like make sure that they're hearing it and comprehending it in the right way. Yeah. Right. Like it's really a skill. Yeah. And I think probably, if I was to guess, I never met Steve Jobs, but he probably like was good at getting his thoughts out, but he just didn't have any compassion for the person he was getting his delivery.
It's the delivery.
Exactly.
It's like, yeah, you just said
you can soften the blow. He probably didn't soften the blow.
Right. But that's another thing though. I'm trying to, like, one of the things when I talk to my team and when I bring new people onto the team, one of the first things I say is like, listen, sometimes I'm going, but I think the quicker we're able to accept the fact that, hey, you know my heart, I'm a good person. I know your heart, you're a good person. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say my thoughts. It might not have the please, it might not have the respect, but I'm just going to say it. Like, you send me a design. This is not what I want. Like, I don't like this. It's not an attack on you. It's crazy because as football players, we have to build that up. Yeah. And then it's like when we go into the corporate world, right, which we're trying to build, our corporations, our empires, it's like, all right, well, we gotta kind of soften the blow. Like we know we can't just, that complete sidebar. One of the things somebody said when I was with Atlanta is like, one of the things I'm gonna miss about football one day is the fact that, like, you and I could be in the locker room, we could walk down the wall, I could say some off the wall shit to you. I could be like, I don't know, because what up, bitch? And like you're like, and those are not like, those are not like the typical greetings. Don't get me wrong, but like, it's no like, man, fuck him. Like, I'm not gonna call nobody like, man, Brennan, man, it's like, that's just fun. Like, that's just life. That's just like us being big kids, right?
For sure.
And so you can't do that. Or I could critique you as well. I could be like, B, like,
that shit was soft.
Yeah, like, why come on, man, we trying to pick that shit up. Right? And you're not going to be, like, but if I want to call with my team, I'm like, well, yo, what you doing? Pick that shit up, right? Like, I'm an asshole. Yeah. I mean what I said, but my delivery has to be different. And so it's, again, just growing and evolving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's easier in ball because we go through so much hard shit. Like, you go through these grueling 2.5 hour practices. It's hot, and you got, you see your brother next to you hurting too. Mm-hmm. He tired and she's sweating, So it's like, damn, there's this like inherent trust that's built between your teammates because you've grinded together, and like
you
a lot
of time to sugarcoat either. Like after 2.5 hours sweating.
Yeah.
I mean, we practiced against each other in Miami, Atlanta, Miami.
It's hot out there.
Yeah. I'm like, bro, you ain't got time to dress it up. Your brain is barely, your eyes might be like, God damn, boy, you get your ass out my way. I'm trying to get in the locker room.
Cope, I seen you melting on that punt return, bro. I seen you melting.
I was like, oh, Lord, we got another rep? Oh, no. You trying to get your rep and get out.
I see you, bro. I see you.
I was done. That's why my knee was torn too.
It was hurting you.
Oh, it was torn the whole season. So I was like, so I was just trying to get through.
Yeah.
But so my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off, but like after 2.5, I remember I just had flashbacks of us out there hitting.
It's a grind.
Y'all practice was long too.
Yeah. So I think that was Flores. He was having us do two spot.
Yeah, that was Flores.
He was having us do 2-spot, bro.
And then y'all just came off of practicing against the Bears
Chicago.
or something like that.
We was up in Chicago. Then came down, had y'all the next week. Keith Smith, fucking crazy ass, hard hitting, built-in leverage, motherfucker. God damn, bro. Practice against him. Bro. I think like building the trust in the team, a lot of times it's easier to do when you go through something with your team. They talk about, like, you hear it a lot in team meetings, when you go on maybe a losing streak or you have some hard practices, like you're able to bond more with your guys. And I think there's some truth to that. Yeah. It's like in the corporate world, it's like, how hard does it get?
Right.
Together, especially remote too. You know what I mean? Like, it's harder. Right, it's like if you see your teammate grinding, and they see you grinding, then it's like, okay, we have this mutual respect. I'm like, we can give each other feedback, and we can take feedback, and it's not personal.
Blood, sweat, tears.
So
I think it's also culture. Like as you mentioned, that it's also just the culture of football. And so as you're talking about that, it makes me think, like, if somebody asks somebody on my team, what's the culture of Copeland Media? Right now, I don't know what they would say.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, you know, I hope it'd be positive, but is that my goal, or is my goal for them to be like, oh, it's this, this, and this?
Yeah.
Have I defined it? Have I made sure that that's the standard?
Right.
You know, as Greg Williams gave this great, analogy of how when he came to the Jets with defense, he basically said, you know, there was a room, there was a science project. You know, they had a monkey in a cage, and they have a ladder to a banana. And so the monkey would go up, grab the banana, eat it, chill. Go up, grab the banana, eat it, chill. Then they introduce another monkey in the room, another monkey in the room, another monkey in the room. Monkey see it, go up, they fight a little bit, grab the banana, eat it. Cool. After a while, they put electric collars on all of the monkeys. This should sound like it's going to a totally different place, right? They put electric collars on all the monkeys. So now a monkey went up, grabbed a banana, and it would shock.
Right.
Shock. It would shock the monkey, and I think it would shock all of them or something like that.
Yeah.
Long story short, they kept doing that. Like they would take those monkeys out. I'm doing terrible describing this. They would take a monkey out, right? And then they bring a new monkey in, and eventually they would have, like, so it would be 4 of the old monkeys in, 1 new monkey. New monkey come in, see the banana, go up and try to get it, and it would shock the other 4, right? So eventually that monkey would go up and try to get it, and those monkeys would whoop that ass. Like, whoa, what you doing?
Yeah.
And then they eventually just would cycle 1 out, 1 in, 1 out, 1 in, and it got to the point where literally no monkeys
None of them
would ever go up and try to get the banana, because the culture was just built, don't you fucking touch that ladder. Don't you do that, right? But it's that psychology, mind control, and I ain't trying to, you know, shock people or nothing like that, you know what I'm saying? But it's like they just built that culture. He was trying to use that as the description of the defense of, like, what is the culture we're building when people come into this locker room? Like, what standard do we have for ourselves, right? We touch the line when we sprint. We don't, we hit people. We don't grab them and go down with them, right? Like, what is the culture that we're setting for our businesses and for our teams?
Yeah. I've heard something similar to that. And they treat these monkeys wrong, bro. I heard a different one. It was like there was some monkeys in this cage, I guess, and they could climb up this ladder, but to get out of the cage. But there was somebody that would spray the monkey at the top. And so then they'd go back down, and then boom, they'd try it again, they spray, go away. So then obviously none of the monkeys was trying to get up. And I think the thing was like the offspring of those monkeys were in the cage, and they also didn't climb the ladder. They were never sprayed. The whole point was like, there were no monkeys left in the cage that have ever been sprayed, but they still not touching the ladder.
Not going for it.
Yeah, so I think
we got to make our own after this.
Yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot going on with these.
Let's go and make our own. We're going to get rid of the monkeys.
Yeah, bro.
We got to use something different.
100%. So we're talking about leadership. Who's some leaders that you've admired in the locker rooms?
Whew. I'm gonna
You've
start
been on
with
a lot
head
of
coach.
teams, so
yeah, I'm about to say I've been on a lot of teams. I'm gonna start with Coach Caldwell, Jim Caldwell, first and foremost. When I sat down with him, when I signed to the Lions, or before I signed to the Lions, we talked for 45 minutes. It was probably the longest one-on-one I've ever had with a head coach. It is the longest one-on-one I've ever had with a head coach, and we literally spoke maybe 5 minutes about football and 40 minutes about life and investing and being a man and all that stuff. And this was before I was signed. Yeah. And so, you know, he was an amazing leader. Every single week when he came in, he had a new lesson for us that he learned in his readings. He would read all the time or listen to audiobooks throughout the day. And I always valued the fact that he used that platform as a head coach to try to teach us things about being a better leader, better husband, better father, better whatever it may be. Yeah. Better servant of others. And so that was always really important to me.
Right.
In the locker room, And I've been extremely blessed. I've had some amazing leaders, and I think what I'll say is like I looked at different people for different things. So like Glover Quinn, he's one of the people that introduced me to venture investing. He would always do his interviews in front of his locker, and he would have brands of companies he was invested in. And I was like, at one point I'm like, that's not no Nike, like
Right,
that's that water
right.
bottle right there. That ain't Gatorade. Like he was like, no, that's a company like I own equity in. He was like, well, part of the way I do my deals is like I have this platform and I'm going to get all these cameras and all these media outlets, and I want that to be baked into my agreement with you as a company. Wow.
Damn.
Yeah, I didn't.
How long was he in the league?
I'm not sure. I think when I met him, he was his 7th season
Oh, wow.
in, I want to say, but I
Damn.
think he played about 9 at least.
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm butchering that, but Pro Bowl, he
Right,
was
okay.
doing the damn thing.
Okay.
Haloti Ngata was always just, although, Hall of Fame career in my opinion, for sure. And he was actually the most athletic player I've ever played with.
Really?
I played with Megatron.
The big dude.
Big dude.
Not a big
and
dude.
could jump, move, could do any movement you
Yeah.
needed him to do, right?
Yeah.
There was this one time we practiced against the Steelers, and they have in a weight room, they had this thing that was hanging in the ceiling, and guys would try to jump up and touch it. No one could jump up and touch it. Darius Slay could not touch it. I'm calling you out, Slay. Couldn't touch it. Haloti comes in there after practice in flip-flops.
No
Himself
way.
walking. Whoom, hit that back.
Oh,
And
really?
he was a little lighter than he was when I was with him in Baltimore. This was in Detroit. He was probably but he's still like 320. You know?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
And I'm just like we done watch all these people try to jump up and touch this thing, and Haloti Ngata, big ass,
That's
walk
nuts.
up in here and do that, right?
That's nuts.
But he was just so nice to everybody on the team. He was so, just a great presence in the room. Brought just a smile to every conversation he was with, and I think that was part of his perspective on life because of, his upbringing and not having his parents around. Calvin Johnson, work ethic was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like to be Hall of Famer and to be notes every single week when you could really just step out there and be like, look, just throw it up. Right,
yeah.
Like it inspired me. If you still working that hard, why am I undrafted ass not working that hard? And then Tahir Whitehead, he's a business partner of mine, but I always valued the way that he treated his family. He has 4 boys, he has a wife, Shannon, and the way he would just, he had patience, a different level of patience than I had. Maybe that's because he had 4 boys. At the time, he was a father before I was and stuff like that. But 2, like the way he would just put his family on a pedestal. I always valued that because I could see like, oh, you can have both.
Yeah.
Like you can do
Right.
all of these different things well. So
Yeah.
And then Brennan Scarlett, man. Brennan Scarlett balancing a lot of different things, and then also really going for what you want, right? Like not having an excuse of maybe next year I'll try this. No, like I want to go help people and start a foundation and get it done. I want to do some financial literacy content with a brand. I'm gonna go make it happen, right? And so again, for me, I'm inspired by a lot of people, but like I said, it's just taking different pieces and saying, okay, cool. Like, how do I get better from it?
I appreciate you, bro.
Of course, man. Pay me later, though. I want that cash drop. I heard that cash drop. Nah.
That's funny. Well, you wasn't able to go up and touch the thing that Haloti Ngata.
Nah.
You was a young boy, so you might
but
not
my
even
leg,
try.
I got bad knees.
Oh,
bro.
right,
So,
okay.
It was post practice, but I didn't want to embarrass him.
I had the wrong footing. I had the wrong cleats on.
You know every excuse that
Right.
I have, so. And it was windy, so I
Yeah,
when I jumped,
right.
the wind kind of blew my hand.
The sun's in your eyes. You name dropped Copeland Media earlier, and I want to give the space for you to just share like all the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
I know that sometimes it's hard to do that, and we were talking about this the other day. It's like when somebody asks you like, well, what do you do?
Yeah.
If you took the time to tell them everything, you'd be sitting there for 5-10 minutes and the person would be either confused or bored or you know, whatever it is, you know, most people. So sometimes it's easier to say, you know, I play football and I'm a financial literacy professor at Penn.
Yep.
And I focus on financial literacy. But obviously you do a lot. And you say Copeland Media is one of the things. So anyways, just what you doing, man?
Yeah, so Copeland Media, let's sum this up. Copeland Media is a conglomerate. Ooh, you didn't hear my voice crack like that, brother. I'm still growing, still evolving.
It's cool. It's Super Bowl week. It's, you know, it's a lot. You made a lot of money this week.
Hey, trying to. No, so Copeland Media is a conglomerate. It was founded on production. It was founded on being able to tell the story about me, myself. So it was, hey, we're going out and doing a speaking engagement. How do we, one, charge it through a business as opposed to as a personal individual? But then two, how do we start to tell our full story instead of, you know, again, holding up a brand and putting it on our Instagram and saying cheese, you know, like, well, I want to tell the story a little differently, you know? Since then, it's grown into a consultancy agency. So we still have production. We'll do financial literacy education through it as well too. But now separate from that technically is our real estate endeavors, which I'm extremely excited about. And I think that, you know, as we pair up Copeland Media, the real estate stuff, you know, one of the things I'm trying to do a better job of, and our venture capital and foundation, the way Brandon Copeland eats is through Copeland Media production. That's a cash flowing business, projects, consultancy, etc. Real estate, you guys know real estate, flips, multifamily, land development now. Venture capital, if God willing, this ain't wood.
Hey, you know, knock on that. 100X, baby. Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? Come on, give me some. You know, bet it all. Venture capital, and then the foundation. And again, Brandon Copeland, we don't eat off of that. Sorry to refer to myself in third person, but we don't eat off of that. That is how we actually can take all of these things and then be able to drive a real impact and real change in the places that we want. And so now what I'm trying to do a much better job of, we're doing a much better job of, is accepting the fact that, hey, we're multifaceted. And we can bring these things together when it makes sense. You know, one of the revelations I had, and I told my board the other day, is like, you know, sometimes for us as people, and I'll say as a black man and as our culture, you know, we talk about sometimes you got to work 2 times as hard to get just as far, right? And for me, it's like, well, damn, sometimes you got to work 4 times as hard to get just as far. But part of that issue is because I was afraid for my foundation to work with my production company because what will people think? And that doesn't even seem right. So I'm gonna donate to my foundation, and I'm gonna go find another production company to do our pitch deck and our designs and all that stuff. When really, no, your foundation can work with your fucking production company because they're the best company to do the damn job and build the website out and build the pitch deck and all that stuff, and they're gonna do it for cheaper. You know what I'm saying? So like, just starting to think like that, because when you look at some of these people at that next level that we're aspiring to be, that's how they operate, right? Like, their visions and their dreams are intertwined, and they found a way to finally bring those things together, you know? So that's what I'm trying to do better at.
That's a beautiful thing, man. Hey, that's a masterpiece, bro, that you painting. Yeah.
We'll see. If not, then, you know, I might be with I was about to joke, I'll be with Sam Bankman-Fried or something.
Nah, bro. We ain't gonna do that.
Totally different lane. He is.
We ain't gonna do that.
Nah, he's trash. But yeah, no. So yeah, man. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I appreciate you laying it out, man. You, I think you're paving the way for a lot of athletes and, you know, aspiring business people. And you being willing to share the vision and kind of, you know, talk about how you're thinking about it, it's really inspirational, you know. And I think that, like, for us, we've talked about this a lot. Your willingness to share the information right? And not try to gatekeep all these things that, we found out as we, have learned through our experience, but sharing them, because, and I'm starting to believe in this more, like this world and this universe is built around abundance. There's enough for all of us.
So much.
And especially the knowledge and information, share it.
Yeah.
And I think that you talking about how you have all these different silos in your businesses, and now the next step is like, how do they intertwine? How can you integrate them all so they each pour into one another, right? And I think that's key. And I had somebody tell me one time that like sometimes, especially with community service, a lot of times you're not, especially as a Black community, a lot of times we haven't figured out the way to kind of be incentivized to do the community service. Right? Like, how does it tie into the rest of your business? Because the only way that you can continue to spend the time on the community service is if you have to be profitable somewhere else, right? It's not like it's a nonprofit, right? But you still have to go about it in the business mindset.
Yeah.
You can't give without having any strategy. You have to build a strategy and foundation. And sometimes that is like, my production company is tied with the foundation, and we do the decks and we do the websites and et cetera.
Right.
And so now my nonprofit and my profit are both tied together in a way that's 100% legal, and obviously is fleshed out, is thought about, critically thought about. But then at the end of the day, now we can continue on and we can scale the community service. We can continue to do that, because if we not eating, then like that's gotta go. You know what I mean? So, nah, man, I think that's beautiful, and that's something that I've been thinking about too. My picture.
Well,
so.
Look, hopefully you bring it all together, man. And like I said, I'm learning and growing, and I think it's also trying to save the time of trying to find somebody else who can do something similar to us, when it's like, nah, you look in the mirror like, oh shit, we right here, right?
Yeah.
Or let me work with your production company, right? Like a lot of times we look into all externally to try to find the solution and the answer, when most of the time it's right here.
Right. That's real. Well, Mr. Cope, hey, this has been an incredible conversation, and I feel like we were really just flowing just now. Will we agree? Everybody in the room, we were just fucking flowing. We got some high quality questions for you, man.
High quality, let's get it.
We have Rihanna performing the halftime show. This Super Bowl 57.
Really?
Who is your dream halftime performance? Dead or alive?
Oh, dead or alive? Dad throws a curveball in it. Okay. I mean, Michael Jackson performed, right? But I would love to see a Michael Jackson.
That would be crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta go with Michael Jackson.
I like that.
Right there.
Who is your dream jersey swap?
I'm about to say, I don't have a B-Scar jersey.
I need a Coke jersey.
I'm about to say, I don't have a B-Scar jersey. My jersey swaps have all been people that I actually like know, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
I feel like a lot of people, like I be seeing like Lamar after games. It's like a lot of people that, you just got a line of people like I played against you one time. Can I get your jersey? Like, I want people I actually know. But I have like former roommates and things like that. Tahir Whitehead, Mike Burton, Josh Bynes, Kerry Hyder. So Darius Jennings, we went to high school together. I need to get me a B-Scar jersey, but yeah, people that have helped me have the career I've had.
So who's your dream jersey swap?
Brennan Scarlett.
All right, say less. Say less, we'll make it happen. All right, it's Super Bowl Sunday. You're laying your clothes out on the bed before the game.
I'm playing?
You're playing.
Oh, shit.
You're playing.
His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. I'd be out there.
Vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti.
I'll be out there like, Mama, I made it.
What would you wear down the tunnel on Super Bowl Sunday?
I'm not going with a suit.
No? No suit?
I'm not
going Professor
with a
Cole,
suit.
no suit?
I'm not going with a suit. We made it to the Super Bowl.
You got to drip.
Oh, man, yeah, you got to look fly. I'm definitely going to look fly. I'm going jeans. I'm gonna do a dope button down with some colors. I'm gonna have some shades on. I'm gonna be a totally different person when I walk in there.
Gotta have the shades on.
All right, shades on. I'm gonna have a button on the button down to about my navel.
Okay.
You know, we gonna be out there. Yeah, we gonna have everything all
down
out.
to your navel.
I'm gonna be look. This is gonna be the profile pic for the next 50 years. So I'm like, I'm gonna show out. You know, my brother. So. Yeah, I'm definitely going like that.
All right, you got the off-white sneaks on right now.
We might have those on. We might put on some. I can't even say the Yeezys. We might do something. We're
gonna have to holler at Kai Cunningham.
Yeah,
get us
Kai
that plug.
Hey, get us the plug.
Okay, on our theme of fashion, who's an athlete that you like to trade closets with, of any sport?
These two are fly. Von Miller and Odell Beckham. You know, I feel like, I think sometimes, you know, those people where it's like, it just looks effortless. Like they just always look put together, well presented, so to speak. I think that, you know, I probably level up by having their closets. I probably couldn't pull off half the shit that they wear, but
I think you got it.
Bro.
I think you got it.
I got a little big man swag. I got like a little dad bod, you know?
Yeah.
They kind of like got abs. I got more like, you know, it's abs under there.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm working on it.
Just a lot of chest.
A lot of chest. A lot of chest out.
A lot
I'm
of
draw in some hair too. I'm gonna draw in some chest hair. Beard to connect.
So yesterday I prefaced that question. I would say any sport. And I said men or women, and I prefaced that when I was talking to Solomon. And the reason that I said that is because I think Megan Rapinoe got swag. And she's probably a person that I wouldn't mind swapping closets with. If all of her clothing was in 2 to 3XL, I probably would swap with Megan Rapinoe.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Now I'm gonna have to check out her closet.
Yeah, she's swag. Who's your favorite follow on social media?
I'm gonna say Earn Your Leisure. I'm gonna shout them out. Earn Your Leisure. I'm always learning, hearing things. That's kind of my news outlet, of seeing what's going on in the world and stuff like that, but getting it in a digestible lens, in a digestible way.
They do a great job.
Yeah.
Shout out to Earn Your Leisure.
What about you?
I Sleeping on Gems is like a music. It's a music profile, and it's just different songs of different genres, different generations. It's like one of those vibey profiles. I follow a lot of kind of aesthetically just vibey profiles. Like Hidden NY is one that I like too, and those things that just kind of invoke a feeling. One I've been into is Kelly Behund Studio. She's an interior designer, but she shares a bunch of like just interior design across the world in different regions and some of these houses and stuff. So it's like glamorous houses, but then it's also like well designed interiors.
Nice.
What was the last movie to make you cry?
Ooh, I'm not a crier though. So I really there hasn't been a movie that's made me cry but get close.
Choked you up, yeah.
Hardball, man. G baby. G baby got
bro, it's crazy.
That boy Cope, he was G baby, we good. And you know, he was just there.
Hardball.
G.
You actually the second person to say hardball, bro.
For real?
Hardball it tugs on the heartstrings.
Bro.
It's not just G baby, but it's also the little chubby kid when he was trying to get home.
Oh yeah, he was running his ass off.
That was a sad part too.
He got his ass off. Trust me,
he was.
I was a little husky mother.
He spooked. I felt that.
I was like, damn. You need a bike.
It hit different. And there you have it, folks. Another episode of B Scar TV. Please leave a comment, subscribe, give us some feedback, some constructive feedback. We're always in the pursuit of high quality content, and it's an endless pursuit. And that pursuit was continued with my man, Brennan Copeland, aka B Cope, aka Professor Cope. I appreciate you, bro, coming on the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
Back to it.
B Scar TV.